The purpose of Al Jama-ah's webinar is to detail the failures within the system, to highlight the needs and ultimately secure like-minded individuals and professionals to step up and take heed of failure within the system affecting women and children. I'm going to hand it over to our motivational speaker, Mrs. Fatima Hendricks right now. And she has been a social worker for many years and who's also the First Lady of Al Jama-ah. Over to you, Fatima Hendricks.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to address you ladies and gentlemen here today. Women are the backbone of society and they give birth to great leaders. Women must learn and strive to believe in themselves and to respect themselves and to love themselves unconditionally. In this way, they will be role models in society today. Thank you.
I just want to give a bit of a background about myself so that you can understand my passion with regard to any matters relating to the welfare and well-being of minor children, women, the elderly, and of course the vulnerable. From 1997 until 2015, I had worked at both the National Prosecuting Authority as well as a family advocate. And I've continued with pro bono assistance in family law and gender-based violence matters alongside empowerment and education in a variety of fields and community upliftment since 2015. Though I've worked in several areas of criminal law, my interest specialization has always lied with regard to maintenance, domestic violence, sexual offences, and matters where women and children was at most impacted. I therefore have first-hand experience as of 1997 as a volunteer in the Bono Court, where I started off from the position of working with clerks in the maintenance office, etc., right through into family law, where I was doing mediations with regard to the well-being and best interests of children. And the reality that I've seen is that over the years, generations, decades of women has been failed by the system, and the failure that we are currently seeing is on the next level. It is a known fact that there's a legal obligation on biological parents, grandparents, and legal guardians to pay maintenance of minor children. In terms of the Children's Act 38 of 2005, the well-being and best interests of minor children is of paramount importance. It is further known that parents have equal responsibilities and rights of their children. The Maintenance Act has been amended over the years. We also have the Justice Codified Instructions of Family Courts 2015, all attempts at rectifying a situation that was clear in abundance that there was failure towards women and children, as maintenance has been a problem for years. Our courts are basically clogged with these matters as well. Sad reality is that mainly women are the ones who are suffering at the end of the day when it comes to maintenance matters. Hats off to those men who are paying their maintenance and taking their responsibility seriously. But the sad reality is that women and children continue to be affected, and this is seen by women of all religions, all cultures. The unfairness within treatment of applicant and respondent, where more often than not, the applicant is the woman and the one that is being failed. Women continues to have a battle for a pittance on maintenance and maintenance arrears due to the blatant failure within our legal systems. As I've noted before, indeed attempts have been made to improve the systems with regard to maintenance. However, in all attempts, government has failed to eradicate the continuous injustice and inequality against women, and ultimately that would impact on the children. Reality, many acts looks good on paper, but failure to implement effectively results in continuous victimization of women who becomes a hostage to an ineffective system.
Thank you, Sanazo. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to one and all. Firstly, I would like to thank you for the opportunity. My name is Yusuf Khan Dalwai. I'm a lawyer and I've been asked to speak about a certain aspect of maintenance. Commonly, we only hear, when we hear maintenance, we only think of child maintenance or we think of spousal maintenance, but it's another aspect to maintenance. So I'm going to put it in simple language. We have maintenance where a parent may also claim maintenance from a child. So that is also maintenance. So I'm going to give you a scenario, for example. A child grows up, okay, receiving maintenance from the father, paying maintenance to the mother in order to, improve the child's life and make sure the child attends to school, has food, has accommodation, etc. And the child then grows up, goes to university, qualifies in a technical university, and at the same time meets a girlfriend, gets married, and what happens? We all know this is common in our society. Okay, children forget about the parents. Once they get married because they love, for example, and they have interest in their career and profession, and then tend to neglect the parents. Now that parent has suffered quite tremendously in terms of providing for that very child, struggling to get that child through university, for example. So now the parent, the child gets married, he moves out to the family home, and the mother, for example, gets ill. She gets a serious disease or illness, and she's unable to even support herself any longer. All right, or she just reaches old age. That's also an example. So what happens? The child neglects his parents by financially supporting the parent, okay? Because the mother or father is unable to do so for themselves any longer due to pain and injury or disability or old age. So ultimately, in our law, the Maintenance Act, we have provisions that provide that parents are able to claim maintenance from their children.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to everybody, and a warm welcome to everybody on this webinar here today. My name is Sheikh Riyad Fattar, and I thank Al Jama-ah Party for inviting me as a religious leader in the Muslim community. While I serve as the second deputy president of the Muslim Judicial Council, today I don't speak on behalf of the MJC, but I speak as a religious leader that's been asked to be on the platform. And I'm sure some of you know the protocols around the presidency of the MJC and political parties. So I speak as a religious leader here today. And what has been asked for myself and my learned colleague is the impact of maintenance and the community and the observations that we see. First of all, I do want to say that I feel that as a community, whether that community be Muslim or Christian or Hindu or Jewish, religion probably plays the most important role as far as our community and the obligations to one another and the interactions with one another. It is no secret that everybody knows that the religion of Islam calls specifically on the men when they are married and they are the head of their households, that the maintenance is a priority on the men. And while we must have legislation that keeps people in control and that they don't do things to harm someone else, I have no doubt in my mind that where people come back to religion, then they will fulfill that amana, that trust that they have with God, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their spouse. Because this thing is, wallahi, it goes wide, and you feel very sad when we see the impact that it has, that those that are supposed to provide maintenance, and I'm now specifically referring to the men, and I want to use the word in Afrikaans and say, the men outside, die mans daar buite, moenie pap wees nie. If you want to be a sultan in your house, then you must show that sultanship.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Keith. I am from I'm a Christian and I'm from #FeedMyNeighbor. So we serve the community in the areas of Elsis River, Kalksteenfontein, and Bishop Lavis. And I firstly need to thank Jama-ah for the platform for us to be able to speak about these matters. Firstly, the impact, obviously, of the government failing us with regards to the maintenance when it gets to the young children and our elderly. If we look at reality, we do feeding on a weekly basis, and if you should see the amount of elderly people coming to get, it could even just be their first meal for the day, on a Saturday or on a Friday when we feed. You'd be amazed to see how many people are in that lines, and that is the scary part of it. And if you look at even at the churches, the amount of old people and elderly people coming to get food parcels. So now you ask the question, they have children, where are they? That's the question I normally ask. Are they too busy? Are they not caring for their people, for their parents, to put it that way? Are they not caring for their own children? Because 80% of the elderly that's coming would normally have one of their grandchildren with him. So that's the question that we always sit with, that's puzzling with us. And why I bring it up is because my belief, in our belief as Christians, we need to look after each other. An important part is we need to look after our parents, because one of the commandments Moses gave us is to honor your father and your mother. And how do we honor them? We need to look after them. You can't live a gloriful life and your parents don't even have a meal to eat.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from Paul, from our AS family. And thank you for having me also on your webinar. So I was asked to speak about the struggles or the challenges that we are experiencing at the shelter setting. As a social worker for the past 12 years at AS, it was alone a struggle. But when I'm going to speak about the struggles, I would like to refer to our clients. So if we look at our criteria, that is already one struggle where we do not assess all women that were abused or all children that were abused. It is limited to mothers or women that are 18 years and older. So when we have a 17-year-old mom, we cannot accommodate her. If we have a mom with children over the age of 10, then we also cannot accommodate her. So yes, for me, that is getting all the referrals. It's quite a challenge, because the next question, when it comes from any source, if it's the court or from the welfare organizations, they ask me, where can they go to? Then I'm thinking, yeah, I'm also not sure where to go to. So I can only take, and maybe I would also like to say, I'm just one of AOS is just one of the I don't know even how many shelters in the Western Cape, but there are so many. But more or less, we all have the same criteria, So we have the struggle with clients that are having children over the age of 10 years old. But yeah, coming back to what I do at the shelter, so I receive the referrals, take in the poorest of the poor. And when I'm speaking about our clients, I'm here referring to clients that never had assistance before, never have seen a social worker, and never have dealt with the impact of the trauma for years. So we take in women from 18 years up till 60. So sometimes we have a lady that never had any assistance or never have been dealt with the trauma that she experiencing. So here we including the cycle of violence that she might have experienced most of the time, and then the time period for them to be at the shelter is now 3 months, and which is a challenge because within that 3 months she just started, with her healing process.
Thank you. I've been paying close attention to what everybody has been saying, and the topic within the current topic is that of finding a solution or an outcome to what is clearly seems to be a problem across the board when it comes to maintenance, whether it's maintenance, spousal maintenance, whether it's maintenance for minor children, or whether it's maintenance for where the parents of the children are the applicants for maintenance. These are for lack of a better word, these are really difficult issues to speak about. They were difficult issues to deal with in my capacity as a magistrate when I was, and they're difficult to deal with as an attorney as well. And I'm going to touch on those things now. Before I go any further, though, I noticed that Lizette Baxter had, the previous speaker, had made mention of Paarl Magistrates Court, and where there was a level of discrimination that her clients had experienced in the Paarl Court. And I think on behalf of Paarl Court, if I may take this liberty to offer an apology in that regard, I was a magistrate in Paarl for just over 3 years, from 2017 till last year. And I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, and I'm going to use that as the basis and the platform for going forward. Maintenance is a difficult issue to deal with. Let's sort of use that as the premise from which to begin. And why I say that is because in any matter in court, whether it's maintenance or anything else, there's always going to be this dynamic of a winner and a loser. But that's not actually the case. There's never a winner or a loser. Our legislation has been drafted, and it has evolved procedurally to a point where certain factors need to be considered. And by no means am I saying this to lean in either direction or in one of two directions. But what I'm saying is that one needs to take into account when you're at court, particularly with regard to maintenance, any maintenance application is based on a two-legged approach. The first leg is the need, or are the needs of the applicant, whether it's the child, the spouse, or the parent. Whoever the applicant may be, there's obviously a need, which is the reason that they've approached the court for relief in the first place. However, the second leg to that application is the affordability leg. So while, for example, there may be a need for 1,000 Rand maintenance a month, but once an affordability assessment is done, that 1,000 Rand may dwindle to 400 Rand, for example, on the affordability side. And that is where the imbalance comes in. And then to the public, or to the, let's call it in this instance, the victim, it would create a dynamic of unfairness. And this is what gives the system an impression of being unfair, or it creates the impression where a party is marginalized. And that is the difficulty that the legal system faces. Every situation is not the same. There are also those litigants in court, from a maintenance application point of view, who know the system. There are attorneys who know the system, who guide their clients accordingly, and the system is clear. If the respondent, whoever maintenance is being claimed from, can show that the levels of affordability are low, or that assets, income are directed through or directed through other channels and not directly in that respondent's name or personal capacity, that also poses another problem. So from the court's point of view, and a procedural point of view, in terms of the Maintenance Act particularly, it's never been an easy dynamic to get through. It's never been an easy one.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to make an input on this important subject. African fatherhood as an institution and its impact on women. I would like to say that from the word go, African fathers, in my experience, become distant from their girl children, especially. And the impact is that when the girls grow up and they get married, they find it difficult to relate to men. And problems can result from this. African men are held on a pedestal. After they provide resources, they fold their arms and expect the woman to do everything. The women feel that it's their role to take care of the husband and the children. This has a psychological impact on women because then they feel trapped in a poor mentality. Men are supposed to assist with child rearing and household chores. Fathers now and again desert the home, and the responsibility falls on women. Because the women must find work, the children grow up on their own. They become neglected. The impact of desertion has a heavy, can I continue? The impact of desertion has a heavy emotional, is heavy emotionally on women and children. Physically, the woman may be forced to find cheaper accommodation after the African husband has left. Accommodation in a squatter camp or informal settlement. That may result in ill health, and social ills may be rife, e.g., for instance, hooliganism. The impact is that women and children may take to irresponsible behavior like alcohol and drugs, which makes matters worse, like crime, even suicide may not be ruled out. Fatherhood gives men a right to take more than one woman. The impact is that jealousy can push the woman to avenge herself and kill the partner or husband or mistress. That may result in a long jail sentence. When it comes to maintenance, fatherhood should take maintenance of children seriously. The government should revise maintenance laws, and enforcement is imperative. Why are garnishee orders so difficult to deliver? The impact on women and children. They suffer as a result of non-payment or delayed payment of maintenance. And then a lot of suffering is experienced as well as inconvenience. When it comes to religion and culture, the African can also be oppressive. The religion in our culture, African religion and African culture can also be oppressive to women by favoring men. While shelters for abused women are welcome, I think they affect the dignity of the woman.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I just want to say thank you very much to Advocate Jama-ah for the opportunity to speak to this platform. And then I have to give praise and honor to my Heavenly Father for really carrying me through this. As you've heard, my name is Natasha. I am a mother of 2 children, and I've unfortunately been stuck in this system for the last almost 5 years without an attorney most of the time. And I have found that the basic plain system, which is supposed to help women, is not helping them. I do not have, unfortunately, a message of hope, but one of pessimism. We sit with a Maintenance Act, which is 23 years old, with a piece of legislation that most definitely does not protect our vulnerable women and children, although it professes to do so. What is interesting is that this very same act, which is supposed to protect us, will pay and reward recalcitrant fathers with a subsistence and a travel allowance, and accommodation and fuel, to invite them to come to court and state their reasons why they are not paying their maintenance. While the woman, because the applicant is not specifically mentioned in the act to be able to claim the subsistence allowance, have to spend 50 Rand to come and beg in a court for 200 Rand of maintenance. That's not legislation that is protecting women and children. That is not in the best interest of the child. So, as a user of the maintenance court myself, I can share with you my own experience. And as Advocate Jama-ah has said, and 2 or 3 of the other speakers has already confirmed that, my experience is not unique to myself. The experience is across nationalities, across population groups, religions, cultures, skin color, age, and financial status. There's nobody that's excluded from the service that we get in a maintenance court. And unfortunately, it's not the best that we get. We have over 50 maintenance courts in the Western Cape only. Some areas don't have maintenance officers permanently stationed there. They will visit the maintenance court maybe once or twice a month. So in essence, it says to me that my child has to wait until there's a maintenance officer that can assist me with my application. So my child, I must not pay school fees. My child must not eat until the maintenance officer can attend to the court. Then we bring on the challenges of COVID-19, which unfortunately has become more of an excuse for people not to do their work. Prosecutors, according to the Maintenance Act, is supposed to assist or is deemed as maintenance officers in a maintenance court. In the 5 years that I've been in the system, I've never, ever met a prosecutor in a maintenance court. They are busy with criminal cases. They do not assist. They're not available. You hardly will know even who is the prosecutor supposed to handle maintenance cases. So people are not available. Our beautiful piece of legislation, which is 23 years old, the Maintenance Act 99 of 1998, is not being applied uniform across all courts. What happens in Somerset West Court most certainly is not the experience of my colleague in George, for example. I will be able to fill in the same form, bring the same motivation or affidavit, documental evidence to the maintenance officer to apply for a garnishee order. My application will take so much longer than my counterpart in George, because every magistrate just does exactly what he or she wants. There's no uniform application. So we sit with a piece of maintenance legislation that, in my personal view, in a way, is just not implemented. Yes, it does need a lot of amendment, a lot. But if the Basic Maintenance Act is just being applied and enforced by the people whose power it is to enforce it, then we will definitely see a huge difference. We need to have applicants included in Section 11, because at the moment, only the respondent can claim subsistence and travel allowance. But the mom who must come and beg for 200 Rand must pay 50 Rand taxi fees. She's not allowed to claim because magistrates will just not pay that. Section 26, civil attachments, you can only do one option. What about civil attachment that should be running in conjunction with criminal prosecutions? There's no clear guideline. There's confusion with the magistrates themselves as to how it should be happening. The REMO Acts and the African Act is so outdated. We have to chop down 10 trees to make 4 bundles of applications, to put it in a diplomatic bag, send it over the Orange River to Windhoek for a respondent that lives there 6 to 12 months only later to arrive. So that's 6 to 12 months, me and my children have to wait. We mustn't eat, we mustn't go to school, and I must tell the school that just wait, I have applied for maintenance, but I'm waiting for the respondent to act because we cannot email their application. Technology and the life in general has moved on, but the Maintenance Act still remains with having to fill in a form, send the police officer to the respondent's workplace and have him sign for it. Why can we not change it so we can move on and make it better? We are just delaying everything more and more. I'm not even going to speak about the limited resources. I mean, there's so many limitations in terms of resources. Poor maintenance investigators don't have vehicles. They don't have internet. Emails are hardly answered. They don't have laptops. They don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have the technology to do proper investigations on the respondents in order to gather information. Open offices, there's no confidentiality. Where I sit and talk with a maintenance officer, the lady next to me is busy trying to apply for a protection order for domestic violence. Courts function from 8 to 4, but you will not get into a maintenance court after 12 o'clock. I challenge you to go and try at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to enter any maintenance office. Security will not allow you in. So I have to work. I have to take work off my work in order to go and drop my application just to be told, sorry, you must come back in the morning. That's not acceptable. That's not in the best interest of my child.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yusuf Daniels. I'm not going to hop or go into the technical aspects of what we're chatting about here. There's enough technical people here. I'm purely going to speak as a father who is divorced 5 years ago. And just the outcome of what has happened since I've gotten divorced and discovered that I now need to pay maintenance. Firstly, these things happen, of course, and what you do after is obviously what is important, because now you are entrusted with 3 kids by your creator, and you need to do right by those kids. Firstly, I have 3 beautiful kids, mashallah. I've got 3 kids, 20 years old, 1 at varsity, 1 high school, and 1 primary school. So first thing when that happened, the divorce happened, I walked out and I went to go live with my mother. Now, guys, I have for the last 17 years not had a permanent job. I've had to fend for myself. I've worked for myself. You can call it a hustle if you like. But there are days when you have nothing and there are days when you make money. So firstly, I see always us making excuses for men where we say, they can't get jobs. Guys, there's always something to do. I have had to sell the clothes of my back, but you know what happened? I made sure that my kids come first. Why? Because never mind courts, I am a God-fearing person. I have to answer if I don't make sure these kids are fine. These kids, firstly, did not ask to be here. They are now your and my responsibility. And we need to now act and stand up as men, and we need to now look after these kids that was entrusted to us. Now, I listened to Natasha earlier and a few other people, and just yesterday we had a live, my daughter and I have a live page called Living Leka on social media. And the funny thing is I spoke for 5 minutes, just for 5 minutes about this topic in my live, because I speak about different things. And it was one of our slowest lives yesterday. When I say slow, we only reached 40,000 people in that live. And we had about almost 700 comments, especially when this topic came up. Firstly, when I see 40,000, that's low for us because we reached up to 200,000 people on our lives. And I realized that people don't like to chat about this, which is very sad, obviously. So just back to where the ex-wife is concerned, my ex-wife and I sat down and I said to her, listen, we divorced now. What comes first? Our kids come first, right? Whatever I made sure that my kids are covered before I am covered. There is no excuse for that. You know, guys, I have an ex-wife that jumps onto my lives while there's hundreds of thousands of people on and says, and this is not bragging, this is just saying, this is what this woman says. And this is what I'm sure most men who are divorced would love for their ex-wives to say, guys, Yusuf, you are the best ex-husband any ex-wife could have asked for. Alhamdulillah, I got that right. But guys, why is she saying this? Because she knows when I have, I share. When I don't have, I communicate with her. And that is where we lack seriously. We as men and women sometimes, we have a problem where communication is concerned. Guys, if there's a problem, don't not answer your phones. Speak to your ex-wife. Tell her what's happening. And if your life gets better, guys, share that. Your ex-wife, if you earn 500 Rand today and 1,000 Rand tomorrow, your ex-wife shouldn't call you and ask you, Yusuf, when is the maintenance going up? When are you paying a little bit more? Guys, you should on your own realize my life is now better. I now need to give a little bit more. I've had on that chat yesterday amounts of 200 Rand for maintenance a month, 400 Rand for maintenance street. And then there was a 4,000 and then I got excited when I heard 4,000 Rand. But then when I heard the guy earned 90,000, then I thought, ooh, daar gaat my excitement. What is wrong with our mentality? And this, I'm going to say it like it is, this is some of our learned people, our people that's up there with jobs, top people that's doing the same thing. Why are we doing this? Are you not of sane mind? Are you not scared of your creator? Firstly, if you do not do right by these children, you are going to be answerable. That is my biggest fear. When I get into that grave and I'm going to be questioned about why did my kids struggle? Why did I drive that amazingly stunning car and live in that stunning house? But my ex-wife had to beg me for 400 or 500 Rand. Guys, there are men, don't get me wrong. There are men that do a great job with their children. And I take my hat off to these men. But unfortunately, I get hundreds of inboxes every day. I've got a following of over 80,000. I get inboxes every day. Yusuf, when are you going to discuss this topic? I get inboxes every day. Yesterday, 20 people, between 20 and 30, Natasha was on that chat, between 20 and 30 people threw figures on that page, not shy to say how badly they are treated by their ex-husbands. And another thing, besides the men, the new wife or new mistress or whatever you want to call it, it is also your duty to tell that man that he must make right with his children. So if you want to proclaim that you are the king of your castle, gentlemen, we need to start acting like kings and not little princesses. People, I see the difference between kings, between children that come out of happy homes, even though there's exes involved. And I see the difference between kids that comes out of homes where there is drama and there is no communication and there is a lack of payment from the father's side. I see the difference. These kids struggle and you are not setting them up for a decent life. And you are going to be answerable for that again.
I would like to acknowledge the president of our Women's League who addressed you earlier, Ma Billy Latuli. She's the daughter-in-law of Chief Albert Latuli, and she's a counselor for Al Jama-ah. When it came to the unrest, I asked her about how her father-in-law would have felt about the looting, the burning, and the destruction. And she said that he's turning in his grave, and that is a blot against all South Africans who, by doing that, are dishonoring him. When it came to the issue of maintenance, I also asked her, what will Chief Albert Luthuli say about the plight of women, children, and the elderly? And she had harsh words for men who are not carrying out their responsibilities. Parliament is in recess. We are doing constituency work. I just came back from a 1-week tour, visiting all the looted malls. And our responsibility is now to go back to Parliament. And one of the things that my parliamentary constituency office will take to Parliament is the proceedings of this webinar, which I call a green paper. And we have advocates monitoring every word that is being said today, and they will prepare a green paper. And if there's anything else any of the speakers wants to add, they can let us know to add it to the green paper. This green paper will lead to a policy statement on maintenance. South Africa, after 27 years, don't have a policy statement on maintenance. Now, my first round thinking for a policy statement, and that is going to make me lose a lot of votes. My first round thinking is that women must chill out and relax at home, and men must maintain them. I can already see the questions flooding in, Honorable Chair, because some are very complimentary and others are saying, no, we have the right to work. Having said that, so we are number one. I am under instructions by the president of the Women's League, because it's Women's Month. She takes preference over the president of the party. The first instruction is to draw up a green paper and to develop a policy. And that policy statement will then be translated into a bill, a private member's bill, that will amend the different acts of parliament that is causing so much concern and that has been raised here. The Constitutional Court made a ruling that members of parliament have the same right as the governing party to do a green paper, to make a policy statement, and to submit a bill to parliament. I will place the bill before the relevant portfolio committees, because I'm a member of those committees. So he doesn't have to go through all the red tape. I will just table the bill, and the bill will hopefully lead to changes in the legislation that we've heard at this webinar today. I don't want to anticipate the changes to the legislation that has to be made, but I can assure you that this is top priority during the third term of Parliament this year, that this bill, before the completion of the third term, will be going through its paces. There will be public participation, and then you will be invited to give your comments on the provisions in the amendments that Al Jama-ah, in a private member's bill, is going to submit. Having said that, I've also been instructed by the president of the Al Jama-ah Women's League, Mama Willie Luthuli, that we should look at a pro bono court at the maintenance court in Wynberg. So I have some experience in setting up a pro bono court, because I did so as an executive member of SASLO, and we have a pro bono court at the Labour Court here in Cape Town. However, we won't be able to put up a physical pro bono court. It will have to be a virtual pro bono court because of COVID. And then going forward next year, we will try and lobby with the most senior magistrate in Wynberg to give us space to put up a pro bono court, a pro bono desk to help women with maintenance orders. And we're going to ask our attorneys, our paralegals, even people that spoke on this platform today to assist with the pro bono court. And we hope that that will provide immediate assistance. So I'm going to speak to my team, to my counselors. My beloved counselor in Malaysia has lots of resources. They've got a lot of money in Malaysia. Here the campus is broke. But they will have to assist us to put up a virtual pro bono court. And we will see how we can assist women and children and the elderly with their maintenance matters. Having said that, in the meantime, Mrs. Atuli will be addressing the Women's Parliament, and she will, in the 5 minutes that I allocate to her, will raise some of the issues that you've said in the Women's Parliament, which is going to take place, I think, on the last day of August. I think it's the 31st of August. That's also the day I got married. So it's a very important day. So that is what we want to do. The private members' bill to put forward all the changes that you are recommending. Number two, a pro bono court. We are going to ask the chair of chairs in Parliament to see what he can do to help with managing the queues and also the timelines. Now, with regard to the timelines to resolve disputes or claims, the CCMA is a good example. If you don't conciliate the matter within 30 days, then a certificate is issued where you can go now for arbitration. So we need a similar situation because once a certificate is issued in the CCMA of non-resolution, then in 90 days, arbitrator is supposed to make a determination. So you're looking at 30 days, you're looking at 90 days, 120 days, 3 months for the most for a claim to be resolved. Now, the issue of the next issue of absent fathers, Jama-ah is going to brainstorm and find a way for fathers who don't pay maintenance, and when they die and they have money in the estate, that money is recovered from the estate for the maintenance that they haven't paid maybe for 10, 20 or 30 years. So that state, the first claim to the estate must be maintenance that hasn't been paid. But maybe that can also be addressed in the amendments that we will be putting forward in the private members' bill. So yes, these politicians make promises. I don't want to be tarred and feathered. The person that organized this together with Sanazo, this webinar, is my daughter. Now, I call her the first daughter, but she tells me, no, I'm the only daughter. So there's a mixture of fatherhood and politics here. So I'm not going to let down, my party, my family, the women of South Africa. We are going to proceed. And as we're speaking, I have an advocate already drawing up the first amendments that we are going to propose in the private members' bill. Thank you very much.